Hey, hello poultry farmers, welcome to my channel, welcome to another video. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. It will be helpful for you to learn poultry lessons, poultry management. It will be easy for you. You can watch at any time that you want, and if you didn't know, subscribing is absolutely free. So today we want to talk about this sickness, which is diarrhea, which is mostly common in poultry houses. So now, you know, the most common thing that we usually get aware of, like our beds are not okay, is when the beds are having diarrhea. Then we know like our beds are not feeling okay. Of course, diarrhea is in many forms. You know, like, okay, there's this diarrhea and this diarrhea, which symbolizes such kind of a disease and such kind of a disease. So now there are major causes of there are some major causes of this diarrhea. So these are the causes that we want to talk about. So number one, poor management. It contributes to the causes of diarrhea in our poultry, bacteria and viruses, and parasites. So we'll break them down. So when it comes to management, we are first we are talking about is spacing and ventilation. So when it comes to spacing and ventilation, how does it cause our beds to have diarrhea? Ventilation and spacing. Of course, when the beds are close together, like very close together, then your ventilation is not really enough. Your beds will start having heat stress, and the outcome of heat stress is the beds will start having diarrhea. So that's it. Then the second thing again is when beds overtake minerals, which is sodium, magnesium, potassium, sulfate and chloride. Our beds start to drink a lot of water, and when they drink a lot of water, eventually they'll develop diarrhea. So on management, those are the two things you need to take care of. And then when it comes to bacteria and viruses, we have to be aware that there are viruses that can cause our beds to have a problem. So before I go ahead with that, let me clarify on the minerals that when the beds overeat these minerals that I've mentioned. So somebody might be asking, but where does these minerals come from? Of course, the minerals comes from the supplements that are made from that are used to make feed. That's where these supplements come from. Magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, all these, they come from the soya beans. Also they come from maize, they come from soya cake, they come from all those places. Maybe somebody might be asking, but it becomes a problem to those who are making their homemade feed. It becomes really a challenge to measure. You know, sodium is salt, so if you're using commercial feed, it's absolutely, you are at a good pace when it comes to dealing with minerals, if it's the one that is going to cause a disease in your poultry. So for those who make their own made feed, it becomes a challenge. They usually face this challenge most of the time, more than the people who are using commercial feed. So that's where those supplement comes from. Magnesium, potassium, phosphorus, they come from maize, soybeans and soya cake. We all know like those are the ingredients they use to make feed. Then there's also when the beds eat mod feed, and then they also eat maybe raw soya beans, they tend to have diarrhea. So now let's go ahead and talk about the bacteria and the viruses. So mostly the common, I'll mention two common bacteria that usually causes diarrhea in our poultry. There is one which is Malik disease. Everybody knows Malik, it's the most common one. Then there's colibacillosis. This one also causes diarrhea in our chicks. These are viruses that will cause diarrhea in our chicks. There are only two common ones I can mention. There are many. There is avian tuberculosis. There is also lymphoid leukosis. All those are the bacteria that can cause our beds to have diarrhea. Then when it comes to the parasites, there are only two common parasites that can cause our beds to have diarrhea. And these parasites, if they go into your bed, then they destroy the intestines. Your beds will start eventually having diarrhea. So there's coccidiosis. If you didn't know, coccidiosis is a parasite. That's why it causes your beds to have diarrhea. It's a parasite. Again, we call it as a disease. Then there's also threadworms, especially to layers. This is mostly common when because those they stay for a long time. It's different with the broilers. You find that the parasites will eventually destroy the intestine of the beds. Then they'll start having diarrhea. So now, what could be the treatment? What could be done to avoid all these things from happening to our chickens? So number one, like I mentioned, poor management of the flock. So which means you need to make sure your spacing is enough, your ventilation is enough, so that your beds don't have to have heat stress. They don't have to be overcrowded, so that they don't develop heat stress. Because most of the time, if you don't know, stress is what triggers out our diseases in the poultry. Then when it comes to balancing of the diet of these minerals, which is potassium, sodium, and phosphorus, how do we balance all this? So for those who are using commercial feeds, this is also easy for you, because you don't have to worry about balancing these ingredients. But those who are making their homemade feed, that's where it becomes a challenge, which means they need to work on that on their own. Then they need to make sure now everything is put in order. They need to be careful, like salt is enough, because salt, high intake of salt, which is sodium, is the major causes most of the time, and chloride. It's the major problem, like when it's overtaken, like especially salt, when it's overtaken by beds, of course they become thirsty, then they drink a lot of water, then they develop diarrhea. And you know, when the beds they overdrink, of course it becomes a problem. When they develop diarrhea, and diarrhea is watery, so you find like the problem will be like even the ureter system will be a major problem to you, because it will be wet very fast. So because I've just mentioned these diseases, now I need to mention also the normal poo-poo, and I need to mention about the other poo-poo, which is normal, which is diarrhea. So I'll show you then. Let me just show you the normal poo-poo, how it looks. Of course, the normal poo-poo, we know, like it is, sometimes it looks brownish, and then it looks sometimes gray, then it's got a white cape on it. That's a normal poo-poo of our bed, that everybody knows. So this is the poo-poo I'm talking about. This one you're seeing on the screen, it's a poo-poo which is the normal poo-poo that every poultry farmer knows, like this is a healthy poo-poo. But there's also one poo-poo that poultry farmers mistakenly think like it's diarrhea. But this poo-poo is also a normal poo-poo that shows a healthy being of our chickens. This poo-poo, we call it sickle droppings. So sickle droppings, it is like this pic you are seeing on the pic. I'm sure it is brownish. You are able to see it's brownish, but sometimes it looks like a little bit reddish brownish. This is also a normal poo-poo. You don't have to be afraid like my beds are sick. No, it only becomes a problem when you find like these sickle droppings are way too much in the poultry. Like when you check, they're everywhere. That's when it becomes a problem. That means you need to be alert. Then when that is way too much in the poultry, like sickle droppings are way too much in the poultry, then you can't see that other dropping which is normal, which means you need to check your beds. You need to check the vent of your bed. So when you check the vent of your bed, you find, if you find like there's some pasted droppings there which look yellowish in color, then you see like the vent is reddish, then it's got tumor, then you need to be alert, like there's diarrhea in my poultry. In that way, when sickle droppings are way too much, then you check there, then you find, like you've seen this photo which I'm showing here. This is just exactly how the bed will start looking if it's got diarrhea. The bed needs to be clean behind here, instead of being like the way you are seeing pasted droppings which are there, which is not good. So now, how do we now prevent these diseases to come in? How do we manage? How do we treat it? So number one, like I mentioned, poor management of the flock, which is spacing, which means you need to have enough space, and you need to have also good ventilation so that birds don't have heat stress. Then the second thing, when it comes to diet, which means we need to reduce. For those who are using commercial feed, it's okay, but those who are not using commercial feed, which means they need to start reducing those ingredients until to the level which they will be normal. Then also you need to provide good water for the birds. Also the litter system needs to be okay so that your birds are okay. Then it reaches to a point whereby if there are parasites or any other form of cause of that disease, that means you need to now look for antibiotics, or you need to look for specific medicine that will treat that disease. So I will only give you about 2 or 3 medications that you can use, and these medications will absolutely work good for you. But before we go ahead, there's some poultry farmers who can't really tell which is a normal poo and it's not a normal poo. So I've just shown you the normal poo which is there. So now I want to show you the poo which is diarrhea poo. So this poo you are seeing here, that I'll just show in a short clip, there are different diarrheas. So there's the greenish, which is for Newcastle. There's also the reddish, which looks reddish like bloody diarrhea. That one is for coccidiosis. Then there's whitish diarrhea. All these are major problems in our poultry. So I've just shown you there. So now the symptoms, again, we need to know the symptoms. Of course, the birds will have ruffled hair, the birds will look depressed, the birds will produce a sound which is not good. Then you will see them like the birds are not okay. Then also sometimes you find the birds are dozing while they are sitting. They are standing. They are not sitting down, but they are dozing while they are standing. Then you know, like, my birds are not okay. Then there will be a lot of lost weight. Of course, we know that. So now we want to treat this disease. How do we treat this disease? So I'll give you 2 to 3 medications that you can use that I have experience with that can work for you eventually very well. So there's oxatetracycline. This is very good to treat diarrhea. Very good and effective to treat diarrhea. Then there's also astrizo. This one deals with white diarrhea. It is very good to deal with diarrhea. Then we have sulfadiamidine, the major and the big one in the market. That's why you find a lot of sulfadiamidine packaged in many packages. It's because they know this kind of medication is very strong and it's very powerful. It can treat any diarrhea that you face in your poultry. This sulfadiamidine can work on any diarrhea that is in the poultry. So that's why consider when going to buy sulfadiamidine. I'll just show you the image. So this image you are seeing here is the image of sulfadiamidine, which you can get, which can work wonders for you if your birds are having diarrhea. Otherwise, any other sulfadiamidine, they will just give you, it won't work accurately like the one I've just shown you on the image. So make sure you get this one that I've shown you on the image, then it will work wonders for you. So I'm sure, guys, this video is very helpful, and I'm sure you found it so helpful to your poultry business. So please consider subscribing to my channel. It will be helpful for me, and it will be helpful for you to learn poultry farming easily and at your own comfort time. And it will be helpful for me because I'll be able to know, like, I'm addressing people who are in poultry farming. And those who are new, you can also watch the other videos which are on this channel, so that you are able to be aware and to learn about poultry farming easily, so that when you start your poultry farming, you are able to be successful and without stress. So thank you guys for watching, and make sure you subscribe to the channel and like the video later on. Thank you for watching that, guys. Bye bye.